Hello and good evening everyone. My name is Rishabh Arora and in today's sociology class I am going to discuss Karl Marx, and in Karl Marx we are going to discuss mode of production. Now Karl Marx has a simple observation with respect to the mode of production, that production is a social enterprise, and if a man engages into the production of goods, it requires cooperation, and not only cooperation of the other human being, it also requires some technical components. Now since Marx has divided history into five epochs means he has divided the whole history into five parts. Now those five parts, if I simply enumerate them, then you will realize that it is the prehistorical society. It is the society which existed before the ancient society. Before the ancient society. Then we have the ancient society. Then we have the ancient society. If students are not able to see this, I'll write on with the white here. So that is prehistorical society. Second is the ancient society. Then we have the feudal society, and then we have the capitalist society, and then we have the communist society. Marx simply talks about that these societies will engage into the production. Now production could be of anything, right? And in each mode of production you will find different technical components. Now when there will be different technical components, it means in prehistorical society the technical components were land, labor, right? In capitalist society you will find technical components like machine, right? So the components will keep on changing. Now not only there is technical component, but man also enter into the social relations of the production. Now what is the social relations of the production? You will realize, class, that when I'm talking about the social relation, like suppose you are the owner of a factory and you have hired me in this factory as a labor, right? You have hired me in this factory as a labor. And what will happen? What is the relation which we are sharing here? The relationship which we share is quite opposite. You own the force of the production. Force of the production means you own this factory. The machines which are there in the factory, you own them and I operate them. So this is a very big difference which we are seeing right now. But in prehistorical society, the mode of production and the relations of production were equal in nature. There was no dichotomy between the two individuals because everything was communal in nature. Communal means everything is owned by the society rather than the particular individuals. So this is what we have seen with respect to the mode of production. Now Karl Marx not just stops here. He talks about that how mode of production goes into another society. When there will be a shift in the mode of production, the society is going to change. Now when man considered that land should become a private property, then we have shifted from prehistorical society to ancient society. When man thought that slaves should not be traded into the society, then land became source of economy, land became source of income for the country. That became the feudal society. Then after feudal society, we have seen that the machine should actually take on the lead. Then whoever owns the slave will own the force of production. Whosoever own the land will own the mode of production. Whosoever will own the machine will own the mode of production. So in every society you will find, except two, prehistorical society and communist society, except two societies, you will find In mode of production, there is dichotomy. There is oppositeness of between two classes. There is contradiction, right? And that is why Karl Marx says when everything will be owned by the whole society, then we will enter into the communist stage. Now, you will find that if I talk about mode of production, just give me a second. If I talk about mode of production, plus social relation of the production. What are the social relations of the production class? Social relation of production means the relations which we share, right? The persons who are working in the organization, the relationship between the security guard and the CEO, that is the dichotomy we are talking about. This actually creates the superstructure of the society. This actually creates the superstructure of the society. And Karl Marx simply talks about that with the possible exception of the society of prehistory, all historical society contain basic contradiction. Only exception is there, that is the prehistorical society. So I have already mentioned here that prehistorical society and communist society will not have any dichotomy, will not have any contradiction. Why? Because mode of production here and the social relations of the production are equal in nature. There is no contradiction that who owns what. And how come we have entered into the ancient society? What happened after the French Revolution? What we have seen, the enclosure movement. In the enclosure movement, we have seen that land has become a private property. When land has become a private property, people started asserting their rights. People started asserting their right. This is how we are entering from feudal to capitalist. Sorry, I actually said that from ancient to feudal. This is how we are entering into feudal to capitalist. Now in prehistorical से हम ancient पे कैसे आए? How we have come from prehistorical to ancient? Because of the surplus value. Because of the surplus value. Whenever man started producing more than he needed, then became the surplus value which needs to be sold into the market, and then I will gain extra wealth. Now suppose in a society where we are seeing that I am cultivating the crops, I am hunting the animal to the extent of my requirement. Like मैं उतना ही खेती करूंगा जितना मुझे खाने की जरूरत होगी, उसे हम बोलते हैं सबसिस्टेंस इकोनॉमी. लेकिन जिस दिन मैंने ज्यादा खेत में फसल उगाई तो मैं उतना खा नहीं पा रहा हूं, तो पैदा होता है सरप्लस, और इस सरप्लस की वजह से आती है सोसाइटी के अंदर इनइक्वालिटी. दिस इज हाउ वी हैव कम फ्रॉम प्री हिस्टोरिकल सोसाइटी टू एंशिएंट सोसाइटी, राइट. तो जैसे जैसे मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन चेंज हो रहा है वैसे वैसे हमें नजर आ रहा है कि सोशल रिलेशंस ऑफ प्रोडक्शंस भी चेंज हो रहे हैं. लेकिन एंशिएंट सोसाइटी वी हैव सीन स्लेव्स वर यूज्ड टू बी मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. स्लेव्स यूज्ड टू डू वर्क फॉर मास्टर्स एंड मास्टर्स ओन्ड द स्लेव्स, राइट. जो राजा हुआ करते थे वो लोग गुलामों को खरीद लिया करते थे और उनसे काम करवाया करते थे, राइट. और अब वो मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन थे, स्लेव्स ही सारा काम कर रहे हैं. तो इसमें फ्यूडल सोसाइटी में लैंड जो है वो सोर्स ऑफ इकोनॉमी है पूरा. जिसके पास लैंड होगा वो ही राजा है. तो द किंग ऑलवेज ओन्ड द ऑल लैंड एंड द पेजेंट्स कल्टिवेटेड ऑन द लैंड, राइट. बाद में ये लैंड एज अ सोर्स ऑफ इकोनॉमी हट गया. अब आ गई इंडस्ट्रीज कैपिटलिस्ट इकोनॉमी में. तो जिन लोगों के पास भी इंडस्ट्रीज हैं, दैट इज द मोड ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, वो यहाँ पर डाइकोटॉमी रिलेशन सेट यहाँ पर शेयर करेंगे जो भी उसके अंदर काम कर रहा है, राइट. सो दिस इज व्हाट द कार्ल मार्क्स इज सेइंग अबाउट द mode of production. So these contradictions involve the exploitation of one social group by the another. Now exploitation of one social group, who is the one social group here? In ancient society you will find the social group is the slaves. Slave is the social group. In feudal society class, in feudal society, who is who is the social group which is being exploited. It is the serf, it is the servant which is being exploited. In capitalist society, who is being exploited here? In capitalistic society, it is the labor which is being exploited, and it is the owner of the factory which appropriates all the wealth, which appropriates all the wealth, right? And he says, except the prehistorical society, in all other society you will find contradictions. So the mode of production and the social relations of the productions you will find on very huge distance of the extremes. Now this creates a fundamental conflict, and because one is gaining at the expense of the another. Now ancient society mein you will find that master is actually getting all the work done by the slave, right? And he is gaining leisure and pleasure at the expense of the slave. In feudal society, it is the vassal or it is the lord who is making peasants do work on the field, and he is actually cultivating the fields. The peasant and the lord and the vassal is enjoying their life. In the capitalist society, it is the owner, it is the factory owner which is enjoying the profit, but labor is getting a very minimal value, to such extent that whatever the product labor is creating, whatever the product which labor is producing, he is not even able to afford that, and that results into alienation. Because the man, जैसे suppose आप अपना एग्जाम्पल लो, आपने एक बहुत ही सुंदर तस्वीर बनाई, उस तस्वीर में आपने 7 सितारे लगा दिए, कोई बहुत बड़ा महाराज आया और उसने बोला कि इस तस्वीर की कीमत 1 करोड़ रुपए है और वो 1 करोड़ रुपए मैं आपको देता हूं। अब आप ये सोचो कि जो तस्वीर आपने बनाई उसकी वैल्यू 1 करोड़ रुपए है, और क्योंकि आप एक जगह पर नौकरी कर रहे हो तो वो 1 करोड़ रुपए उन जहां पर आप नौकरी कर रहे हो उनको मिलेगा, और आपकी सैलरी सिर्फ और सिर्फ 25,000 रुपए है। तो आप एलियनेट हो जाओगे सोसाइटी में, आप इतना अकेले पड़ जाओगे क्योंकि जो प्रोडक्ट आपने बनाया आप उसको खुद नहीं खरीद सकते। दिस इज व्हाट मार्क्स इज सेइंग, दैट अ प्रोडक्ट व्हिच इज बीइंग क्रिएटेड बाय द मैन इज एलियनेटिंग हिम, क्योंकि वो प्रोडक्ट अब उसी लेबर से ज्यादा पावरफुल बन चुका है। दिस इज व्हाट लीड्स टू एलियनेशन, राइट? तो आई बिलीव ये पॉइंट आपको समझ आ गया होगा। नाउ मूविंग ऑन to the next point here, that is the idea of contradiction between the forces and the relations of production may be illustrated in the terms of infrastructure of the capitalist industrialist society. तो आपको यहाँ पर नजर आएगा कि majority of the work which is done by the laborers, majority of the work which is done by the laborers, they are not even able to afford that product, and all the wealth is appropriated by the owner. यही यहाँ पर contradiction हमें नजर आ रही है. However, much of the wealth is appropriated in the profits by the capitalists, who are the owners of the forces of the production, right? Then a related contradiction, what we have actually seen here, Marx is saying that because of all these things we are seeing to alienation. Now let's come to the alienation here. Alienation is nothing but a situation in which the creation of a man appear to him as an alien object, and they are seen as independent from their creator. Why? Because you are not able to afford it now. You are not able to afford it, and that independent object now has a power to control you. That is why Karl Marx is saying that man is making religion, and now he is controlled by that very religion, right? And that is why a man gets alienated in the society. What we are seeing here, just suppose he says that man first of all create a entity called God, and that entity is being endowed such powers that he can control everything, he has made everything, and then he is fearful of that person, fearful of that entity. He says it is the man which has created religion, it is the man which has created the rules of the religion, and then he is fearful of that religion. The Karl Marx actually believes that it is the upper class or the bourgeois, it is the upper class or the bourgeois which has made the religion to justify the inequality into the society. Because religion says that you are poor because you must have done something bad in your past life. Whatever you are doing right now, it is happening because of the bad karma of the past life. But actually Karl Marx says that it is not the poor karma, it is not the experience of the past life, but it is the actually structured inequality in the society which is causing poverty, which is forcing and compelling people to work in the factory for a nominal wage rate. This is what the Karl Marx is saying, and that is why he is saying that whenever a person makes a product from the most beautiful gift he has been given by the God, the act of production, and when he gets alienated from that product, the man gets lost in the society which is composed by the man itself. This is what Karl Marx is saying, right? Now, what he is saying here, in assigning his own powers to supernatural beings, man can become alienated from himself. Religion appears as an external force, though force is created by him only, but it appears, लगता है ऐसा, right? लगता है ऐसा. So in reality, what we are seeing, religion is nothing but a reflection of a fundamental source of alienation, and in reality, it is nothing but man-made, right? Let's come to another slide. Now, what we are seeing, that history actually begins when man actually starts producing. This is where Karl Marx simply says that history starts when man actually produces their means of subsistence and when they control the nature. But whenever the man is going to make the surplus, that is going to create inequality. Whenever there is going to be dichotomy between the two classes, whenever there is going to be the basic contradiction between the two classes, then we are going to see this problem. Are you able to understand my point, class? If you have any doubt, please let me know in the comment section. Now, let's come to another point, that is capitalist and industrialist society, the mechanization of production. What we are seeing here, that alienation reaches its height in capitalist society where labor is dominated by the requirement of the capital, the most important, which is the demand for the profit. What we are actually seeing here, it is the profit which is actually determining the need of the labor. So जिस इंडिविजुअल की वजह से हम देख रहे हैं, सारी वेल्थ प्रोड्यूस हो रही है ना, एक्चुअली में मार्क्स इज सिंपली सेइंग हु इज प्रोड्यूसिंग द वेल्थ. वेल्थ इज बीइंग प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय लेबर, बट हु इज अप्रोप्रिएटिंग इट? कौन उसको लेकर जा रहा है? देखो, तस्वीर मैंने बनाई, उस तस्वीर में 7 सितारे भी मैंने ही लगाए, लेकिन जो प्रॉफिट है वो लेकर जा रहा है जिसने मुझे हायर करा हुआ है, राइट? तो यहां पर कार्ल मार्क्स कहता है दिस इज द बेसिक कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन. हु हैज एक्चुअली क्रिएटेड द वेल्थ? वेल्थ इज क्रिएटेड बाय द लेबर. लेबर is actually created the wealth, but it is the owner of the mode of production who has appropriated the wealth. This again leads to alienation. Now, Karl Marx यहाँ पे 4 पॉइंट बता रहा है कि alienation कैसा हो रहा है. When you actually gets alienated from the product of the labor, जो आपने बनाया उसी से ही आप alienate हो गए. Worker is alienated from the act of production because all decision. Now, suppose what you will understand here, how the worker is getting alienated, because your creativity has been snatched away. Your creativity, it is the demand of the market which determines what you have to make. It is not what you aspire that will be made in the society. It is the demand of the market which is actually going to determine that what you are going to make. राइट तो डिमांड बता रही है मार्केट की, जो इंडिविजुअल बनाना चाहता है उसकी क्रिएटिविटी, उसकी सोच नहीं काम करेगी. Thirdly, in addition to fact that wage labor alienates the man from his product and his productive activity. Now, what is happening here? Man says that an individual is different from an animal only by differentiating between a man and an animal only by that man has consciousness. कार्ल मार्क्स सिंपली बोल रहा है कि एक आदमी और जानवर के अंदर फर्क ये है क्योंकि एक आदमी के अंदर कॉन्शियस है, लेकिन जब ये लेबर और जब उसको नजर आता है कि वो जो प्रोडक्ट उसने बनाया अपनी लेबर से वो भी किसी ने ले लिया और वो भी किसी को बेच दिया, तो वो अपना सब कुछ खो देता है. मैन loses his distinct human quality and gets alienated from real human nature of a species being. So now Karl Marx is saying that there is no difference between a man and a animal here. Now fourth is we are seeing that form of labor wage prevalent in the capitalist society. Now he becomes alienated at which is a product of his action. इसका मतलब क्या है कि it is the man by which his own choice he has become a labor, and because of his own choice he is alienated from the society itself. This is where the Karl Marx says that this is how the alienation has occurred into the society. So please let me know if there is any doubt in the comment section so that I can resolve it as soon as possible. Thank you.